What's going on, traders? Welcome back to day 17 of 25 days of trading. Make sure you stick around for these last few days as we finish up this series and go back and watch the previous days as well. Today, I'm going to be showing you my exact VWAP strategies, some of the best setups for base hits, keeping things simple, just riding the trend, right? And if you know, it's already available for free on AceFX TV. So if you want to learn more of what you're going to see here in just a few minutes, make sure you go check out the links below. You get your first month free. It's also where I'm live streaming every single morning, so make sure you go check that out. Now, if you've seen it before, these arrows, you know how great these entries are. Bouncing off the New York VWAP, that's where I want my entries from, right? I don't want to chase lower lows off of no key levels. So let's just first go from the open because we were streaming this morning. Some people were taking the longs. Let's go into what you could have done. So in that strategy, you'll see I don't want to chase first breaks of opening range low or high. It doesn't matter which side first. I just don't want to chase the first break. They often don't run. And if you've seen my YouTube videos, you've seen plenty of examples of that. But then buyers take back this New York VWAP, right? Anchored from that 9:30 open. So it's still pretty early on in the day. But if you notice, we don't have full VWAP alignment for longs. We're still below this blue one, which is previous day's 9:30 New York open. So if you bring over the 15-minute, you'll see since yesterday, or you could even say since Friday, new low, pullback, lower high. There's the lower low on a bearish Monday, right? So now we come into the next day. Lower low, pullback, lower high, lower low. The trend is actually more so bearish. So that's why I'm not even really loving longs to begin with, especially with that VWAP in my way, right? So that's why I also like to use the 15-minute just to see the bigger picture. That are we actually bullish just because we've spent maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes above this one singular VWAP? What's the sentiment on the week, on the buyers versus the sellers? And you wouldn't want to be long into this resistance level anyways, right? Especially when you see it now slowing 2-3 times. So that's out the window. Hopefully you didn't chase those longs and get smacked in the face. Now the first sign to short it would be here, right? Saying, okay, sellers are really keeping us down. Buyers are struggling up here. Buyers are struggling. Let me try a short, right? To really cherry pick the entry right here. You could also do it back there. But you definitely want to have a stop loss above to allow it to keep on holding it. And you would trade it down. We don't take that. It's mid-range. Ugly day so far. But that's fine. Giving us new information that, all right, the shorts are working out. They are in play. That's what the trend was saying on the higher time frame. Okay, I want to be looking for shorts. Well, don't just be chasing shorts off of no level, right? This was the move to try to capture. If you didn't get it at this black line, that VWAP, you missed the move. You could jump in whenever, but if you're trying to be consistent and take your entries seriously, you want to wait for that pullback as close to VWAP. So let's go over even the low of day VWAP break, which is also explained over here on AceFX TV. Like I'm saying, you guys can all get your first month free. There's a few different entries in here. So you'll learn about the breaks and the bounces as well right above my head here. Let's go back and say the break plays. There is a break of this low of day VWAP saying sellers are back in. Now you never want to stop loss at current structure. Current structure would be the most recent one right there. Previous, I guess, is way up there. Pretty big because that was a nice flush lower. But regardless, the short itself, not off of this VWAP. Right, we're still pretty far below it. That I like to be a little bit higher up, just like I want to be short at that break, right? So if you take it, you want to have a wider stop to allow it to try to hold New York VWAP because you wouldn't want to be out of a short if you get stopped out here. I made this mistake plenty of times. If you get stopped out, you want to be saying shorts no longer make sense. Stop me out now. Similar to back here, if you're short on the break below New York VWAP, playing with this resistance, and you finally lose and we break for a new high of day, do you want to be short? Probably not. So now take me out of the trade. I've given the shorts all the room they need to breathe. This stop isn't giving all the shorts they need to breathe to find out if you're going to be right. So you definitely want to cover this VWAP, right? And it would be painful, but you could technically survive this and come back down. So there's that entry. If you wait a little bit higher and get it at the VWAP as you see it slowing and sellers defending this price saying, all right, this is definitely a place we can make a lower high. I know this VWAP. I know this like where we want to return before falling back down. And same thing with this higher price, you can get a really good stop loss saying if this thing gets up here, I don't think I want to be short from this price anymore. I mean, that thing's got buyers back in control. So you get really good risk reward to just trade it back down. So that's the first trade. We can get rid of this one. Makes a new low. If you missed this price, you weren't paying attention, you were off the desk, you hesitated, whatever, don't just chase in, hoping that this lower high just sells off again. Wait for the pullback. Comes back to the very same VWAP. You get more opportunities to short it. If you short it on this strong bar, you definitely would. You'll take on drawdown in this example. but you shouldn't have a stop loss right there. That's current structure, right? Because it's the most current structure to the left. So if we can cover previous structure to the left back here rather than here, we get plenty of room to hold in the shorts, still respect this VWAP, and still want to be a seller. So there's number two. There's the second short you could take where you see it hold a second time, you sell it back down there. Either way, you're making money around this New York VWAP. You're not going to catch this whole entry price to the exit down here. But if you could scalp any of this back down to these lows, you did your job. Good job. Wait for the pullback. Maybe you'll short it again when it comes back to New York, right? The worst thing going back to this trade would be selling it here, needing for it to make a new low a day before you manage to trade it all. And then you go back, right? You didn't close it down here because you have some big target. It comes back to entry. Yes, you survive, or maybe you unfortunately put a stop loss at break even. I don't know. But either way, rather than just trying to hold this thing forever, get in, get out, it pulls back, I'm going to sell it again. And you make 2 wins, right? Rather than just holding one trade forever. And it pulls back again. Very same VWAP. If you're trying to sell it down, needing lower lows, which you would want lower lows, no doubt about that. I'm not saying it can't. But if you're like shooting for it, I need it for it to happen. I'm greedy. I need this giant move. You don't get it. This is also later in the afternoon at like 1 or 2 o'clock. But this is the move. You're trying to capture some of this move. You don't want to know if it's going to break for a new low a day. If not, if it does, it does. But you had 3 great opportunities off this very same VWAP. So there's no excuse not to be inside one of them. And if you've been keeping up on this series, yesterday was about ES versus NQ. We'll take a look at NQ real quick. Which is the better asset to trade? Today I'm going to say ES, because what the hell is this? This is NQ today. Actually made a new high in the afternoon. Alrighty. Now I guess there still is the argument that money was made from this New York VWAP, but man, is a lot uglier, you know? So definitely not the asset to be trading today. But if you've watched that video, you go back to watch it, you'll see some days one is cleaner than the other. So we just went over that. Hope that made sense. If I went too fast, go back and rewatch it. Definitely check out Futures 2.0. You'll see a lot more markups with notes on it that you could study, screenshot, save, all those different things. And then once you go through that, I'd love to have you guys on stream and taking these trades with us that you just learned and asking questions and all that good stuff, right? Let's just go over another example this past week. This is last Friday. As we're speaking here on a Tuesday, first break of open range low. Don't chase it. I want it at the VWAP. I'll get the next bounce away from VWAP. And then if you miss that, don't go chasing it. First break of open range low. I don't want to chase it. Pull back to New York VWAP. Now, why not buy it if we're above it? Buyers are in control, no? Structure. We're still below this black overnight VWAP. Sellers are still more so in control, just like how this morning we were looking at. Yeah, big picture, it's still kind of lower highs and lower lows. I think this is a little premature to say buyers are in. We're moving higher. There's still more roof above us than there's not. So you wait for sellers to step back in, and they send us for another quick new low a day, right? This is this week on the 11th. So yeah, about a week ago, same idea. The money is to be made from the VWAP. If you miss it, your opportunity is not up here. It's down here. It's down here, and it's down here, right? Scalping any little move you can away from this VWAP that is a magnet, right? So it really is powerful when you see the first break of open range low. Don't want it. First break of open range high. Don't want it. None of them have ran. It gets back below New York. You can scalp these 4 bars, retest New York again, scalp that down, retest New York again, scalp that down. Plenty of opportunities. So if you find yourself FOMOing into trades, first of all, hopefully this will give you that abundance mindset of, damn, there's entries all the time. Why am I rushing into one thing? It's the last one that's going to be today. As well as you get a better stop loss when you get these better prices, right? On this short at New York VWAP, if this finally breaks for a new high of day, do you think I want to be a seller? Probably not, because then we're no longer making these clean lower highs and lower lows. So I got true invalidation for the short. It's off a great level where I have full confidence in bounces. I've seen it play out so many times. I can still get great risk reward back down to the low a day, right? Here's just another one. First break of open range high. Drifts a little bit better than those other markups we were just looking at. I'm going to wait for the return. I know this VWAP pays. I'm going to wait. It doesn't happen until 1040. But then when it does and buyers defend this level, you got structure for a stop loss. Ride that thing back to the highs. It looks simple, looks repetitive, because it is. Now, this is a little bit different, but I just wanted to throw it in there because, like I said, there's multiple entries in this strategy that you'll see. But this is in line with that 15-minute, like I said, that bigger picture. You get a first break of open range low here. Don't want that because we've said that many times. But also notice this black VWAP. That's the overnight, the changeover of days. So that's still acting as support. We're actually still more bullish. So I'm not even looking for shorts. So once buyers step in at that New York VWAP, in line with this 15-minute trend, right? Because you can see we're above the black overnight. And that previous day's New York is well below us. So we're above every VWAP. And now buyers are taking New York. I want to be in from this VWAP. I don't want to be chasing it away from it. If I can get close to it, I can make some money on some quick scalps, right? I truly do believe, even if you're wrong on the trend sometimes, or like just how I don't want to be a seller today, if you sold it there, you still could make small little moves and make some money, right? Where if you sell it now away from VWAP and you're wrong on direction, you make no money, right? So you obviously want to be trying to be right on direction, but at the end of the day, if you're close to VWAP, you can maybe squeeze out some move, all right? So hopefully you guys will check out Stream, check out the full strategy. Like I said, first month free, you guys can go through and study this. It's about 3-4 hours. So make sure you check that out. Check out the streams. Check out the top one sale. But I appreciate you guys. If you have any other questions, leave them down below. I'll see you guys on stream tomorrow morning.